in regards to the ancient history stuff, the deeper you look into that, the more you start to realize how necessary the presence for something bigger than us becomes. And that's where a lot of people who are agnostic or atheist, they come to this conclusion that, well, these little green aliens must have come to our planet and modified the human race, to some extent. Well, the Torah, the Old Testament, the books of Enoch, Jubilees, and I've got the other one back there. I can't remember the name of it. Um, they have a perfect explanation for what happens, what happened in the ancient world, and even the Book of Enoch. Man, you might be fascinated with it. It teaches. So this is tying into what you were saying about what do you really stand for. The Book of Enoch gives a very specific account of the legions of angels that were involved with human beings, because Genesis 6 in the Bible kind of alludes to it a little bit. And as you dive into it, as you dive into a little bit of Exodus, you begin to see the presence of these beings that were involved with these ancient humans. And when you study the architecture, like, you look at the pyramids, you look at Göbekli Tepe, you look at the Sphinx, you look at some of the substructures for the ancient Peruvians, and you see what they were able to accomplish technologically, and you see the leaps that we make technologically, because apparently human beings have been around, the way we look, scientifically speaking, for 200,000 years. And it seems like in the last 10,000 years, we just, like all of a sudden these structures start coming up, and it's like something flipped that switch on. You know what I mean? Could you and I go out into the wilderness and, make a Game Boy out of
Right.
just stuff that's out there? It's like we're pushed over this edge, and that becomes more obvious the more you study it and the more you try to beat your head against this brick wall of our ancient past. And I struggle, and I've had this conversation recently about, as I go further with this ancient history stuff, am I going to cross that bridge of publicly saying I believe that there were angelic, godlike beings interacting with people? Because that's a huge leap from,
Sure.
hey, there's this ancient civilization with a lost technology that we don't have any idea of. um, that concept in and of itself is perfectly logical. I think that something like that could exist. But then when you say, well, when you look at everything, it becomes indicative that there was something else at play here. And then you start to say, well, I believe that the Book of Enoch has a lot of truth in it. I believe such and such, that these fallen angels, were playing God, and they were teaching people how to do things, teaching people how to build these structures. And that's a big leap to publicly come out and say, because there's no turning back from that. That's going to become a part of my whole, of what I stand for. And I recently put out a video sort of alluding to this idea, and that was hard for me to do, because putting myself out there and having to stand for something is really scary. And that was something I had to pray about. And I'm like, just I know that this is the right thing, and I know some people aren't going to like it. I've got to do it anyways, because I have to. I can't be lukewarm in this. This is what I actually believe. So yeah, man, it's just that, that simple thing of what you said, standing for something, that kind of resonated with me recently. That was just last week that I had was sort of having those thoughts, but that's really hard to do. you know
Yeah. Yeah, I think in moments like that you feel like you have to say this is what I believe, right?
yeah.
But I think what I actually loved about what I saw about you when you were talking was you were like, I'm open to this being true
Hmm.
more
Yeah.
than this is what I believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because of that, I was all ears,
Hmm.
you know? And I
Oh,
don't
I
think,
hate. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And I think it's so easy for us to fall into all right, well, I believe this, then I've got to go all in. And I've got to, I have to defend it. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like going back to our discussion about truth. Whatever's true will be true, whether you or I believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Our belief in
Yeah.
it has nothing to do with truth,
Yeah.
right? A sunset is beautiful, no matter what you or I think about it,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Creation itself is an amazing thing, no
Yeah.
matter if our ego's involved in the interpretation of it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
And so I would say, if this helps at all, the more you discover all these things that link up and that could lead towards the fact that an alien presence came and informed these civilizations,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that is. Being the person that's open to that discussion, right,
Mm-hmm.
sets you apart from the person that's dogmatic about it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and because I love philosophy so much, the modality of dialogue is a way that we can find truth uh, outside of our own personal beliefs,
Yeah.
right? By engaging with someone else, you know.
Yeah.
And I, I don't know. I just wanted to say that because I know how that is, because I've been there too with
Mm-hmm.
cannabis, like with psychedelic therapy, and it's like I'm like I don't want to be a zealot about this,
Mm-hmm.
because anything that I didn't believe in, like when I did not believe, when I did not see the facts lining up, right, that psychedelic therapy was beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody who talked about it, who was a zealot about it, right, who was just like, this is this, I
Right.
wouldn't listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
But the people who were like, this could possibly help people, blah 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 blah, I was all ears.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and that's a hard thing to, that's a line we all have to,
Mm-hmm.
dance on. But